Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most significant developments in the ongoing war between Ukraine and Russia, a precision strike by Ukrainian forces that destroyed a key logistics route to Crimea. This event is not just a single military action. It's a sign of Ukraine's growing strategic reach and a moment that could reshape the balance in the southern theater of the conflict. Ukraine's attack was aimed at a vital supply artery that Russia uses to transport fuel, ammunition, and reinforcements into the Crimean Peninsula. Since Crimea's annexation in 2014, Russia has heavily relied on a handful of logistical routes to sustain its occupation and military operations. These include the famous Kerch Bridge, railways connecting Crimea to southern Ukraine, and a network of depots and fuel storage facilities spread across occupied territories. Destroying even one of these routes creates serious challenges for the Russian military, and this latest strike was no exception. Reports indicate that the Ukrainian military used a combination of long-range drones and precision-guided missiles to carry out the operation. The strike targeted a critical junction linking Russian supply routes into Crimea, possibly including rail and fuel infrastructure. Ukrainian officials later confirmed that the attack led to massive explosions and fires, destroying key fuel depots and damaging transport links. The success of this operation demonstrates not only the accuracy of Ukrainian weaponry, but also the sophistication of its intelligence and surveillance systems. This strike wasn't a random act of aggression. It was a calculated move. Ukraine has been methodically working to undermine Russia's logistics networks, understanding that an army's strength is only as good as its ability to keep its front lines supplied. Without fuel, ammunition, and food, even the most well-equipped forces can't fight effectively. By hitting supply depots, railways, and bridges, Ukraine is applying pressure far from the front lines, forcing Russia to stretch its defenses and reroute supplies through more vulnerable or inefficient paths. The destruction of this logistics route has several major consequences. The immediate impact is the disruption of Russian supply chains to Crimea. Fuel shortages will affect military vehicles, artillery operations, and naval activity in the Black Sea. Delays in ammunition shipments will limit the intensity of Russian artillery fire, which has been one of its key advantages throughout the war. Even small disruptions in logistics can snowball into much larger operational problems over time, slowing down Russian advances and creating vulnerabilities that Ukrainian forces can exploit. Another significant impact is psychological. For months, Russia has projected an image of stability and control in Crimea, portraying it as fully integrated and secure. By successfully striking deep into this region, Ukraine has shattered that perception. The residents of Crimea, who have lived under Russian rule for over a decade, are now being reminded that the war is not far away. The explosions, fires, and smoke columns visible for miles across Crimea send a powerful message. Russia's occupation is not untouchable, and Ukraine still has the ability to reach it. This also carries symbolic weight for Ukraine. Crimea is not just a piece of land, it's a symbol of lost sovereignty and national pride. Since 2014, Ukrainian leaders have repeatedly vowed to reclaim it, and every successful strike brings that vision one step closer. The precision attack shows Ukraine's resolve to weaken Russia's grip on the peninsula, while signaling to its allies that Western provided weapons and intelligence are being used effectively. From a strategic standpoint, this attack fits into Ukraine's broader campaign of deep strikes. Over the past year, Ukrainian forces have increasingly targeted command centers, airfields, and supply routes in occupied territories. By combining drones, cruise missiles, and sabotage operations, Ukraine has managed to keep Russia off balance. The strike on the key logistics route to Crimea is part of this evolving doctrine, a shift from purely defensive operations to a more offensive and asymmetric approach aimed at crippling Russia's ability to sustain its war effort. Let's also consider the technical and operational aspects that made this strike possible. Ukraine has significantly expanded its domestic drone production and modified Western technology to suit its battlefield needs. These drones can fly long distances, evade radar detection, and deliver payloads with impressive accuracy. Combined with real-time intelligence provided by reconnaissance satellites and allies, this gives Ukraine the capability to hit high-altitude targets deep behind enemy lines. Reports suggest that the operation was timed carefully, possibly during a window when Russian defenses were temporarily weakened or distracted. This level of coordination points to meticulous planning and high-quality intelligence work. Every strike like this requires detailed mapping of the target area, assessment of Russian radar coverage, and identification of vulnerabilities. The result was a devastating hit that not only destroyed material targets, but also struck at the heart of Russia's logistical confidence. Russia's reaction to the attack has been predictably defiant, with officials claiming that damages were minimal or that Ukrainian drones were intercepted. However, satellite imagery and eyewitness reports from within Crimea tell a different story. Large-scale fires burned for hours, and emergency services struggled to contain the explosions. Videos circulating online showed thick black smoke billowing into the sky, and local authorities reportedly restricted movement near the affected areas. The scale of destruction suggests that Ukraine's strike was far more effective than Russia admits publicly. The loss of such an important logistics route puts Russia in a difficult position. Rebuilding infrastructure in a war zone is time-consuming and resource-intensive. Each destroyed fuel depot or damaged rail link takes weeks or even months to repair. Meanwhile, Ukrainian forces continue to exploit these vulnerabilities, keeping pressure on multiple fronts. For the Russian military, this means longer supply lines, more exposure to attacks, and greater strain on already stretched resources. This also affects Russia's naval presence in the Black Sea. Crimea serves as the base for the Russian Black Sea Fleet, which has been instrumental in launching missile strikes and enforcing blockades. Fuel shortages and logistical disruptions could hamper fleet operations, limit patrols, and reduce missile launch capabilities. Ukraine's earlier attacks on naval bases and docked warships already weakened Russia's maritime dominance, and this latest strike deepens that blow. Beyond the battlefield, this event carries political ramifications. Within Russia, the attack undermines the narrative of stability and control. For months, Russian propaganda has insisted that Crimea is safe, secure, and thriving under Russian governance. Footage of burning fuel depots and damaged infrastructure challenges that claim and may raise questions among Russian citizens about the true state of the war. It also puts pressure on the Kremlin to respond, possibly escalating the conflict or diverting more resources to defend Crimea. Internationally, the strike serves as a reminder to Ukraine's allies that their military aid is making a tangible difference. Every successful precision attack validates Western investments in Ukraine's defense capabilities and encourages continued support. It also demonstrates how modern warfare is shifting from massed armies clashing along trenches to targeted, dated, driven operations that disrupt logistics and command networks. Ukraine's ability to conduct such deep strikes showcases how technological innovation can level the playing field against a numerically superior enemy. However, this success also comes with risks. Deep strikes into occupied territories or Russian-controlled regions carry the potential for escalation. Moscow may respond with intensified missile attacks on Ukrainian infrastructure, cities, or power grids. Ukraine must therefore balance its offensive operations with the need to protect its own population and maintain international backing. Each strike becomes both a tactical decision and a political statement. The destruction of the logistics route to Crimea also raises questions about Russia's defensive posture. Despite deploying advanced air defense systems like the S-400 and Pantsir units, these strikes keep slipping through. This could indicate gaps in radar coverage, electronic warfare interference, or simply an inability to defend such vast territory effectively. For Ukraine, that's valuable intelligence. It suggests that continued pressure on logistics and infrastructure could further expose weaknesses and force Russia to overstretch its defenses even more. From a humanitarian perspective, the disruption of logistics could also affect civilians in occupied Crimea. Fuel shortages might lead to transportation problems, energy shortages, or price spikes. While Ukraine's targets are strictly military, the ripple effects inevitably reach civilian life. This underlines the complexity of modern warfare. Every strike has strategic benefits, but also social and political costs. In the grander scheme, this operation reflects Ukraine's long-term strategy to isolate Crimea and eventually reclaim it. By systematically dismantling Russia's supply network, Ukraine aims to make the occupation unsustainable. If the peninsula becomes a logistical liability rather than an asset, it could shift both military and diplomatic dynamics. In the future, Ukraine might leverage these disruptions to push for more advantageous negotiations or to set the stage for a broader counteroffensive. There's also the symbolic factor for the Ukrainian people. Every successful strike is a morale boost, proof that their country is not powerless and that occupied territories are not forgotten. The precision and effectiveness of these attacks reinforce national unity and belief in eventual victory. It's a reminder that even against a larger adversary, smart strategy and resilience can yield powerful results. For Russia, the strike highlights the growing challenge of defending extended supply lines across hostile territory. Maintaining control over Crimea requires constant investment in infrastructure, protection, and logistics, all of which are now under threat. If these disruptions continue, the cost of occupation will rise sharply, both in money and in manpower. Looking ahead, we can expect Ukraine to continue targeting strategic nodes across the south. Each new strike adds cumulative pressure, gradually degrading Russia's ability to sustain its war effort. Meanwhile, Russia will attempt to adapt, building new routes, reinforcing defenses, and intensifying its own attacks to distract Ukrainian planners. This fourth dynamic defines the modern phase of the war, a contest not just of territory, but of endurance, technology, and intelligence. In summary, Ukraine's precision strike, destroying a key logistics route to Crimea, is more than a tactical victory. It's a demonstration of strategic foresight, technological capability, and psychological warfare. It shows that the battle for control isn't only fought at the front lines, it's fought through supply chains, intelligence networks, and infrastructure. This single event encapsulates the essence of modern conflict: precision, persistence, and purpose. The war in Ukraine continues to evolve, and moments like this show how dynamic and unpredictable it remains. As both sides adapt and innovate, each strike, each countermeasure, and each supply disruption will shape the next phase of this conflict. What's clear is that Ukraine's campaign to disrupt Russia's logistics in Crimea is not only effective, but also increasingly central to its overall war strategy. Thank you all for watching. If you found this explanation insightful, make sure to like the video, share it with others who follow global affairs, and subscribe to stay updated on future analyses. The situation is changing rapidly, and I'll continue breaking down key events like this as they unfold. Let me know in the comments what you think about Ukraine's precision strikes and their impact on the war. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Stay safe, stay informed, and see you in the next video.